Alright everyone, it's Thursday, it's the morning briefing from the Celtic Way, and we are looking back at a thriller last night at the City Stadium against Queen's Park. Wimbledon's going on at the moment, Tony, so it was kind of fitting that it was a 6-4 victory for Celtic last night. I don't think I've ever seen a 6-4 before. How are you, Tony?
I'm fine, I'm good. They were involved in a 6-4 in Japan, weren't they?
Was that Yokohama?
Yokohama, yeah. When they went to Japan, they were on the receiving end of that one. But so last night they tried to. I think the words 10-goal thriller were used because we were actually like sitting there thinking, right, can things stop happening? Because we couldn't write as fast as stuff was happening, So, but yeah, it was pretty entertaining. Let's put it that way, and it was quite enjoyable. Normally these, you can say it's kind of training exercise stuff and all that, but some good goals, decent performances. So yeah, I think the fans who went to it got their money's worth anyway.
Yeah, disclaimer right away that I'm a bit all over the place today. I've been jet lagged out my nut. I've been sleeping throughout the day, so I've not really. I think I'm half an hour into the game, Tony, and we're 2-1 down at the moment. So I think we might come back and get a result. But we can get your thoughts. You were obviously there.
Keep your eye on number 8. That's all I'll say.
I know. Well, I know.
For Celtic,
I know the spoilers. Yeah, another 3 goals for him last night. I can see loads of comments. Feels like there's loads of talking points from last night. I'm already seeing stuff from Jason about Mikey Johnson. William saying about we're needing 2 goalkeepers. I think that's a point you wanted to touch on. How was the evening? It seems like there was Celtic fans there, based off the kind of celebrations when Kyogo's first went in anyway.
Yeah, there were a few Celtic fans scattered around and just kind of, generally cheering as the goals went in. But wanted to big up Queen's Park last night. We were informed that they issued 20 free tickets to Ukrainians, kind of extending the hand of friendship there. So there's the press officer Craig Stewart, who I know he's a journalist as well, sports journalist, cracking guy, and he's covered kind of championship football right down to the lower leagues, and very knowledgeable guy. So he was informing me of that, and he said, could we mention it? And I said it was a pleasure to do so, because he was the guy that arranged for myself to get press accreditation. So I thought that was a wonderful gesture from Queen's Park last night, and only too happy to plug that and say to them, well done for say they offered 20 free tickets to Ukrainians who sampled the match last night, and I'm sure they will have enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, and also just, that's fabulous. I think as well, just it seems to be quite a well set up club at the moment, and the stadium's quite small, but it's kind of nice, and I thought the pitch was excellent as well. Better than Celtic Park has been for a while.
I think it looked like an old-fashioned, quaint stadium. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the experience of being there, and the people were ever so kind, and they treat you well. So it was my first time being there since it had all been done up, and really enjoyed it. So magic. But yeah, we've got a few talking points from last night. We, as you said there, the number 8. Great to see him back in the old routine. It was magic, and that's 4-2. He's happiest when he's scoring goals. You know what I mean? And people talk about kind of his demise last season, and he wasn't the same player, and injuries played a part. Sometimes the supply wasn't there. If you give the ball to Kyogo in the right areas, he'll score goals. Doesn't matter who he's playing against, but it's good that his attitude's been first class, I think, in both of these friendly matches, Hamish, and that's what I like. Those idiosyncrasies, those behaviours, that he's not treating it as a pre-season friendly, because it's never really a pre-season friendly. It's, you're playing for Celtic and your job is to score goals. He's hungry for goals, and he looks like a guy who's benefited from, the break that he had going back to Japan. It's clearly done him a world of good, being with, Billy Connolly used to say, be with your own folk for a while, and I think Kyogo's certainly benefited from that. He's enjoyed that experience, and he's one of the ones who say he's come back really refreshed, and he's shown that with his displays. And I know I know the calibre of opposition, people will talk about it, but I just like to see somebody who's got their eye in, who's fully focused on the job at hand, and that augurs well, I think, for Celtic.
Because I'm trying to think back to this time last year, and you may be able to help me, but I feel like Kyogo didn't really feature in Japan in those games. I remember a lot of talk being about Daisen Maeda playing through the middle. I can't quite remember if Kyogo was injured or if he'd maybe been given more time off.
Daisen Maeda got the hat-trick, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
The Yokohama game, and everybody was saying, is that Daisen's favourite position or best position? And Alexandro Bernabe scored that mad goal as well in one of the friendlies. Remember when he lost the ball and then chased the guy for about 400 yards and then managed to get off and stick it in the net, that kind of stuff. So, it's I was just delighted with Kyogo. That's what you want to see. And as I said, when you do that with increasing regularity like Kyogo does, it just makes him happy. He just loves the art and and he has that knack of scoring goals, and that's what I enjoyed about him last night, amongst other things.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to. The reason I bring that point up, I'm trying to think. Was the last pre-season a little bit stop-start for Kyogo? He actually started the competitive football quite well last season. I think he scored a couple against Ross County. I think he scored at Pittodrie in the next game from memory. But maybe he's just ready to really start the campaign on fire this year. I
mean, nobody can tell you about the qualities and ability and natural talent that Kyogo's got. We've made this point before. I think a lot of Kyogo's game last season where people were doubting him was about the service that he was given. He was starved of service. There was games when there was people putting up on Twitter, Kyogo's touched the ball twice in the first 45, or he's touched the ball, 10 times over 90 minutes, that kind of thing. And if 2 of those 10 touches weren't goals, people were running about with their hair on fire and saying he's lost it, blaming the system. You're only as good as the service into you. Kyogo was still doing the same things, making the same runs, but the manager tweaked his position a wee bit. He wanted him to come a wee bit deeper and, get involved in moves and help set up goals, and that's fine. But that's just not. That doesn't come natural to him. What comes natural to him is making near post runs and being a predator in the, in the 6-yard box and from 10 yards out, that kind of thing. So there was tweaks to his game, but he still never lost the unerring ability to put the ball in the back of the net, and he never will, because that's his stock and trade. That's what he does. And I don't care if it's Queen's Park or it's Ayr United. I want to see Kyogo in that park, and when he's scoring, I'm happy. And Celtic supporters are happy. The manager's happy. His teammates are happy. And I think that just, as I say, it augurs well. It breeds confidence in Kyogo himself. And he got injured last season as well for part of it, and it did hamper him a wee bit. And maybe maybe his confidence was dented by that a bit. But he's certainly somebody who, he was looking the part last night again, and that just excites me very much.
Yeah, me too. I think everyone absolutely loves Kyogo, and the fact he's got 4 goals already, as you say, augurs well going forward. Right, so many talking points, some different views from different people as well. First of all, just a shout out for our sponsors. If you're needing a reliable heating solution at the moment, MPH Boilers have you covered. They're award-winning, family-run business, and they serve all of mainland Scotland. They specialise in top-quality boiler installations and servicing, and they have partnered with Weissman. Their German-engineered boilers come with up to a 12-year warranty, plus MPH Boilers offers flexible finance options to make your heating upgrade easy and affordable. So you can stay warm and worry-free with MPH Boilers and Weissman. www.mphboilers.co.uk for more details, and from my own experience back in Scotland over the last 5 weeks, it's still pretty chilly for the summer, isn't it? So you might just need those guys. Right, I was kind of talking about Bosun Lawal yesterday. I wanted to see how he got on, and this just sums up how football and, to be honest, life is about different opinions. Henrik McLarsson was impressed with Lawal. Michael Ross, Bosun Lawal overhyped, it seems. Verdict, Tony. Because I kind of watched him a little bit, and I know he plays a brilliant pass for one of the goals. I thought at times he kind of looked a little bit flustered, maybe. What did you make of it?
Yeah, give me a second. First things first, if you want to hear what the manager or read what the manager said about Kyogo, it's in that piece that I've just put up on the Q&A with Brendan Rodgers after last night. If you didn't get a chance to read it, it was on the site last night, so you can read that. I think it was a bit of a mixed bag for Wilson a while. There's physicality there, there's a presence. He snapped into one tackle in particular, and he won the ball really well. The pass that he played over to the wing, which led to Matt O'Reilly's goal, I believe it was excellent. So he has that in his locker. But I still think you need more, don't you, from him in these kind of games? That playing in fits and starts is good, and you think, okay, there's the nub of a player there. Same with it. The same way I thought with Odin Thiago Home last night as well. There's something really good about Odin Thiago Home. He's got a lovely touch at times, and when he carries the ball forward. But I need more from them, and I would imagine the manager would want more from them. That they're serving notice that they're still here and they can do things. But if I'm Brendan Rodgers, they're not getting me by the scruff of the neck and saying, I'm in that team, play me. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to see more of last night. They're good, talented footballers, but for me, they're not standing out enough to say, I'm an instant pick, I'm an automatic pick. And there's a school of thought that people saying that they could benefit with going out on loan. That's purely up to the manager and up to Celtic. You just feel there's something that they could contribute. But at this moment in time, they're not dislodging any of your normal starters, are they? Your Hitatis, your O'Reillys, your McGregors. They're not dislodging any of them at this minute in time. Now, I know it's a pre-season match, I get all that, but I'm wanting a bit more.
I agree. It's not just them either. You kind of look, and it's been an issue over the past, certainly since Rodgers came back to the club, the past year. You look at the fringe players, and not very many of them have really stepped up. I mean, James Forrest, if you can call him a fringe player, he really stepped up at the end of the season, and he said, I'm in that team, you can't drop me. And he kind of helped us. He put a big contribution in, Dundee away, etc., to help us to win the league. You're looking for more guys to do that. I think generally it was positive last night from what I saw from Odin Thiago Home. I thought he looked good. He had one moment that I've already seen early on in the game down the left-hand side where he showed really good feet. And eventually I think they lost the throw in, but he looked lively there, and from the sounds of it, he's kind of gone under the radar a little bit over the past couple of games and may have something to offer. But I know what you mean. It's kind of, and maybe it's difficult in pre-season when the intensity isn't generally there and maybe all the changes are made and all of that stuff. Maybe it is difficult, but I know what you mean. You just want someone in pre-season to come in and to go, I'm in that team and for the Kelly game.
These guys are playing for that, Hamish. That's the prize that these guys should be looking at, saying, I want to be in that starting 11 for Kilmarnock. So show me why you want to be in that. You're at this football club, you're at Celtic Football Club, so you're naturally a talented player. But give me a reason to say, do you know what? I'm going to trust you against Kilmarnock on the opening day, when we unfurl the flag. At this moment in time, I'm not seeing that. And, you don't play friendly matches when you're at Celtic. And I get the intensity and all that, but if you're a young player trying to impress the manager, you're busting a gut, you're giving everything, and your intensity levels, having started pre-season, should be at a decent level anyway. So, and I, as I say, I was impressed with certain things that they did, but I'm wanting the whole package. And I don't think that's too much to ask. You've been there a year, sometimes, in Lawal's case, longer than that. You know the demands that are expected of this club. Doesn't matter what manager you're playing under, the demands at this club are, excessive. It's probably as demanding as anywhere in European world football. You cannot let your standards slip. Your bar has got to be exceptionally high because it teaches you good habits for wherever if you ever do move on in your career. And that's what I wonder. It's a big season for guys like Bosun Lawal and Odin Thiago Home. Yep, they're worth persevering with because you could see there's the nub of something there. But I need more. I need more for them to get game minutes and be in those squads on a consistent basis. And as everybody knows, I mean, we're flogging a dead horse for this one, but you can understand the need for Celtic and the manager to say that we need players. We need new players as well.
Yeah.
So
it's abundantly clear, isn't it? Looking at I think you look at the team and players that played last night, and there's a lot of players who probably wouldn't miss too much if they left. Now maybe that sounds particularly harsh, but
that's a fact, Hamish. That's a fact. Yeah. You can't skirt around that.
People are talking about Scott Bain. Hazel bringing up being his torture. Please buy a goalkeeper. William saying, we need 2 keepers ASAP. Bain didn't look entirely convincing for either of the goals. He's not going to be our first choice. We certainly hope. We're not really finding out much. Kobayashi. Andrew want to know about Kobayashi as well. He's been playing at left back. It just seems like we're kind of short, and I know we're missing players at the moment, and I know the team even that played last night will look very different when we play Killie in the first game of the season. So I'm trying not to be too down. I think a lot of the players that played last night we won't be seeing in these games, but equally it's like games like last night you're looking maybe for guys to step up, and especially the back line conceding 4 goals, probably not ideal.
No, I don't think the back covered himself in any kind of glory at all. If you're talking about Scott Bain, he was rooted to the spot for the opening goal. Queen's Park opening goal, and he was...
Welsh wasn't great either for that, was he?
No, and he was well beaten. I think it was Dom Thomas's strike for the second.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting him. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I'm expecting a better effort than that from Bain. Just to, he just, I don't know. I was sitting there last night, and I remember thinking, wow, shows if you're trying to impress and say, right, this is my chance as well to maybe sort of say, it wasn't the I could save you a fortune Celtic, by being your number one moving forward type of performance, was it? I was a wee bit disappointed. Don't want to be too harsh on him, but I thought he could have done better with both. If that's harsh, then I'll stand corrected. But yeah, and Stephen Welsh as well. I'm thinking, okay, I always feel that he will be a squad player moving forward, but I just feel he's had more chances than most to cement a kind of defensive, a solid defensive place or a consistent defensive place. And every time he takes a step forward, he then seems to take another 2 back, doesn't he? Every time you think he's going to advance his Celtic career, and he just seems to regress, and yeah, I don't think he was another one that didn't exactly cover himself in glory. But I think it's imperative that Celtic sign a goalkeeper. Clearly, we all know that. Yeah. But I'm straying into as well left back to another centre back as well. I've always thought that anyway. Another striker would be good, and even a midfielder. I mean that's 5 players. I think the whole spine of that team needs looked at, Hamish. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I think we all know that work needs done, and we're not seeing that work yet, and that kind of adds to the anxiety. I think we're and the frustration we're all feeling. What who did cover themselves in glory last night? I mean, we must have played quite well attacking wise to score 6 goals. I mean, that's the positive, I guess.
It was interesting to see Mikey Johnson back.
Was he good?
I mean, I don't know. Lots of people said they thought he was excellent, but I must be watching a different Mikey Johnson, and then people say it's just because you've got a downer on him. But I feel he should be excelling in games like that after the confidence boost that he will had the way he's played down south. But I didn't see enough. Again, he's another one I didn't see enough to suggest that he's going to make any kind of valid contribution to Celtic this season either. So I'm kind of like, I'm a bit meh with Mikey Johnson. I kind of think that he's part of the past. Celtic need to move forward. He ran about a lot, and there's always, my issue with him was always the kind of end product. So, and again, he to me flatters to deceive a lot. I've got to be honest. So, as I say, it was just interesting to see him back in the side. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, a few other people saying, Chris saying he was meh. Mark reckons he's better than Kuhn and Yang. Maestro saying full of running.
Well. Aye, no end product. Same.
Yeah. Trying to see who else. Iwata played, didn't he? Was he at right back? Iwata. Dane Murray played at centre back. Kind of interesting start. Kobayashi, and we obviously had the one that Brendan Rodgers picked out after the game was Francis Turley, who netted his first Celtic goal. So that was lovely.
He liked him and he liked what he brought, and he pointed out that Francis Turley was that was the example for others. He looked lively. Right. He wanted on the ball, and he was showing him something. And he did give a mention to Francis Turley, and well done to the young boy for scoring his first Celtic career goal. But he was eager to impress, which some of the others weren't, and some of the more prominent names you would have thought would be like, should have been or should have had that Francis Turley attitude. Kyogo had it. Francis Turley just came on and went, right, I'm going to do what he did. And he did do that, and he scored the goal, and he looked the part. So I was like the manager. I was kind of like who's this guy? And I kind of watched him, and I can understand Brendan giving him praise because he deserved it, and he showed up. He turned up and he wanted to impress the manager, and he did by getting a name check at the end of the mention, which is more than can be said for a few others. And everybody will say, yeah, it's only the second game of pre-season. I get that, but it's still a football match where you're expected to go out and perform and play to a certain level. And I think the manager also mentioned that the pressing level wasn't anything what was required, and certainly in the first 15, 20 minutes, he said. So if he's noticing that, then that's him saying, well, guys, I'm giving you this opportunity to show me you've got something and give me food for thought moving forward. Because as you say, the team will change quite considerably. And you rightfully pointed out, if they did ship out quite a number of those players, those fringe players, you wouldn't bat an eyelid, would you really?
No. So it was a good opportunity to see some of the fringe players, the young guys, the same names that we saw at Somerset Park. Thomas Hatton, Mitchell Robertson, Colby Donovan, Kyle Ewer. As we say, obviously Francis Turley came on and scored. Came on and scored. Josh Deddy as well. Did you have a chance to speak to Brendan Rodgers afterwards? Was there much chat about transfers, perhaps?
Well, we'll be putting that out today. He spoke about transfers, so we are 10:30 p.m. embargo on that going into tonight for tomorrow's paper. So, we spoke about it. I mean, it'd be remiss of us not to ask him about that. So, you can read the thoughts from 10:30 tonight. But, it's bubbling along, I think, as they say. But still, nothing continues to happen, much to the chagrin of the Celtic supporters at this moment in time, and people getting impatient. I said that last night in my instant analysis. It's getting to the stage of the Celtic supporters. Patience is a virtue, but give me patience and give me it now. I think of the Celtic supporters kind of thoughts at this minute, and I don't think the club are not doing anything. Let's put it that way. So you would hope that there would be people on board that plane heading for America. But time's ticking on, isn't it? And the days I think they're flying out next Tuesday or Wednesday. So
right, okay.
I think
4 or 5 days, something like that. It's really not long.
No, it's not to start to conclude deals and make everybody feel a wee bit better about themselves in terms of the club. You just want them to be in a better situation, because let's be honest, when you go to America, the opposition ramps up, and it ramps up big time, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it's a kind of gradual increase in quality, isn't it? Because, DC United are obviously going to be a step up from what we've faced so far, MLS opposition. But I think it's fair to say Manchester City and, Chelsea to a slightly lesser extent are going to be a step up as well. Chelsea are still obviously going to be a pretty big test for us. So looking forward to it. I think things will start to take shape. Hopefully we have some signings. We really need to have some signings on that plane going to the States for me, because it's if you'd have said at the start of pre-season that we wouldn't, people would probably have kind of laughed and thought of that as a nightmare scenario. We're somehow at this stage. I agree with you, the club are clearly doing stuff in the background, but as supporters we want to see players in the door, officially signed, and the window's been open a month and there's nobody been signed yet. So it's very I think generally we're all still feeling good from how the season ended, and we're all feeling very positive about Brendan Rodgers, but this squad needs work, and we're not seeing the work done yet.
I think we're underwhelmed at this minute in time with the transfer or lack of transfer window activity, aren't we? But still on that high from the way the season ended, and thankfully it has carried us through. It would have been 10 times worse had they lost the Scottish Cup final, Hamish. Let's put it that way. Or the league for that matter, yeah. But, so thankfully you've still got that, and people are still watching Adam Leaders go and repeat that kind of stuff. So you are hopeful, because let's be honest, they have lost 3 players from last season: Joe Hart, Paulo Bernardo, and Adam Ida. So, and you're hoping that 2 of them can come back. And in an ideal world, you would want them on the plane heading to America. In an ideal world, you would actually want a goalkeeper as well. You would want at least those 3, wouldn't you? Those kind of 3 to be joined up with the squad before they embark on the kind of pre-season tour of America. So that's my hope. What you hope and what you get are 2 different things. And as you know, Celtic have got previous for dragging their heels, let's put it that way, in the transfer market. But yeah, it's I can understand the Celtic fans, apprehension and anxieties, because it is getting to that stage where we thought that there would be a lot more work done than this.
And I'm just a bit fed up of kind of still talking about no signings coming in. Scott Dougal, I've no doubt we're trying to get quality in. Maybe it's trying to convince that quality to come to our league isn't easy. Gio, it's just not possible to call a rating in these games due to opponent, but too many don't look like they can step up, hence the need for so many new first team players. Master saying the one, what when you go, Tony?
I get that, but you're calling it as you see it, aren't you? Because it's part of your profession to call it, and you were not having a go. I remember once saying to Neil Lennon, of all people, when I left the day of the record, Neil Lennon invited me up to Lennoxtown to see a proper cheerio, which is the Neil Lennon that people don't see. And we sat for 3 hours in his office, and I was that nervous that I never went to watch training. I just sat in the kind of couch and the kind of reception bit, and then he came in and he said to me, "Why didn't you come and watch training?" That was what the invite was for, and I just kind of like, "That's okay, it's fine." I said, "I didn't want to, impose on you and think that I'm watching and then going away and doing these like behave." So he took me into his office and we sat for 3 hours, and he said, "Cheerio, I mean." And as I say, it's a wonderful chat. And at one point, we were talking about the team and talking about players and stuff, as you do. And I said to him, "These are not criticisms, Neil. These are observations as a supporter." And I actually liked that, and he wrote it down on one of those kind of flipchart boards in pen. And he went, "I quite like that." He said, "Because there's a way of telling people that it's not good enough without criticising them, but you're telling you're observing things." So I think in these pre-season things, we're not going overboard with criticism per se. You're just observing what you're seeing, and I think that's fair assessment, So, and as I say, I would never judge anyone based solely on pre-season, but we we talk about, and I mentioned it at the top of the programme, that just idiosyncrasies and behaviours, isn't it, that you want to see in certain players and certain things, and you want to see that they've learned or they can offer something going forward. And that, I think that's what we're offering here or preferring here in terms of our opinions, Hamish, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, pre-season, I think we'd all agree the results don't matter. I think even at this early stage, it's more even about fitness than performances. I think as we get to the States, we'll want to see more from the team, as we get nearer to that Kilmarnock game. But I think pre-season can be very useful sometimes to kind of have a look at players. It can often tell you who is going to start the season well. Last season, I remember a number of players who maybe weren't expecting had really good pre-seasons. Dies and Maida had a really good pre-season. And kind of kicked on at that stage when the real stuff started. So I think it's always interesting to look at what players can do. It's never black and white either. I think there was there was real positives last night in some of the performances, and even just like Matt O'Reilly playing and scoring. I think from the sounds of it, kind of seemed like he did quite well when he came on. Some people praising Mikey Johnson, Odin Thiago Home getting a lot of praise. Equally, I think there was some players that you'd look at and you'd think, you need more, and we've kind of touched on that as well. Maestro saying that the one-touch stuff was excellent in the second half. Henrik McClarson saying Holmes' assist was inch perfect. So I think so far it's been fine. We've played our 2 games. It's been good for supporters, I think, to be able to get to see the team play early on in pre-season, because we don't normally get that. Obviously, there was far more Celtic fans at Somerset Park than last night. But a couple of games down, things to note, and we go forward now to the USA, and I think there are going to be 3 pretty interesting games there.
Yeah, there will be ones where you will take a real interest in terms of the result, fitness, and players' behaviours, and who you think can and will step up to the plate. You would love to see some new faces in amongst that for that trip. We wait with bated breath on that one. I mean, it's over to the manager and the Celtic board. They keep telling us, or the manager keeps telling us, he knows what's required, he knows what he needs. And when they come out this window, they will have that quality, and they will be stronger. I'm laying great faith and stock in those words, Hamish. Time will tell, and everybody will have their opinion. If that is not the case, that Celtic do not sign the quality of players that is required, and they are not stronger. So, everybody will hear the Celtic supporters if those managers' words don't, come to bear fruit, as they say.
We all know what we need. I think it's pretty obvious to everyone what Celtic need. And there's going to be no hiding place for the club. They've got to get this right, and they've got to get players in soon. But that's been the message throughout the summer so far. Over half an hour, Tony. We've not even mentioned the other match that happened last night. Although I have just mentioned it there. But
I was hoping we weren't. But
okay, just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
We will leave them to it, as they say.
Anything else? Any final thoughts from last night moving forward?
I just my overriding emotion was I was loving Kyogo. I loved him anyway, and I was disheartened when he had the season that he had last season at times, and I got frustrated for him, because you just know there's deep down there's a wonderful talented footballer there, and you knew he was getting frustrated himself, so I'm just liking that. I like that 4 goals in 2 games, and I know you can talk about calibre of opposition, but he's certainly one that you think, see if he's bang at it again, then you could be looking at another 30 plus goals season from him, providing the services right. But he, as I said before, he just doesn't lose that ability to score goals. Strikers don't lose it, and when you're a talent like that, you'll score against anybody.
Someone was saying 40 goals earlier. I don't know if it was Andrew, maybe someone else. Mark saying he's going to have his best season this season, Kyogo. I'm excited for the wee man. Oh, it's going to be very exciting.
And I think as well, if Celtic do, and I've nailed my colours to the mast on this one, sign Adamida, I believe. And I think he's already saying, right, okay, if this guy is going to come in, then you're going to see the best of me. And the best of me is, that's hard to dislodge, isn't it? When Kyogo produces his best. So I would love to see that, Hamish. I would love to see Kyogo and Adamida, duel and battle it out and give the manager that horses for courses headache. Who you're going to play, and where from one week to the next you don't know who's going to be your starting striker. So and ideally, that's my ideal scenario moving forward.
Yes, lots to ponder, and we will we'll do that tomorrow for the final time this week. Tony, thank you for your time once again, and thank you everyone for tuning in, commenting, supporting Spain. I don't know. Yeah, great stuff, everyone. Speak to you all tomorrow.